The Indiana Fever, congratulations, you four. You guys have successfully broken Caitlin Clark. Great job. You guys have tried your damnedest to turn her into a role.
The Indiana Fever just pulled off something nobody thought was possible. They took the most electrifying player women's basketball has ever seen, a player who single-handedly dragged an entire league into mainstream conversation, and they are systematically turning her into a role player. Not through bad luck, not through injuries, through deliberate, calculated organizational decisions that make absolutely zero sense when you look at the numbers, the rotations, and the money sitting on the table. And the frightening part is that most people are only seeing the surface of what is actually happening here. Because what is going on behind the scenes, inside the locker room, inside the front office, and inside her own representation, is a story that goes far deeper than anything being reported right now. This is the full breakdown.
Caitlin Clark goes rogue. Yeah, these networks get exactly what they asked for. They get exactly what they get every penny of what they asked for. But when she doesn't go rogue, when she plays within the system, when she gets subbed out 3 minutes into the game, and then plays for a few minutes, then subbed out again, and then plays for a few minutes, then subbed out again.
Before we get into all of it, if you are new here, this channel is where we take the biggest stories in sports and break them down in a way that actually makes sense. No fluff, no filler, just straight analysis and honest opinions. If that sounds like something you want more of, hit that subscribe button right now because we cover this stuff every single week and you do not want to miss what is coming. And if you are already part of the Simply Explained family, welcome back. Now let us get into exactly what happened inside that arena, because once you see how this all unfolded piece by piece, you are going to understand why so many people are absolutely furious right now.
Once you get rid of those four and you get rid of your stooge of an agent, Aaron Kane, you'll be free. And I know we don't want her to go the LeBron route, but at this point, you need to get rid of Aaron Kane and you need to call Rich Paul immediately.
Before Caitlin Clark ever stepped onto a professional court, the basketball world already knew what she was. A perimeter weapon so dangerous that defenses had to account for her 30 feet from the basket. A passer with a vision that made highlight reels look routine. A player whose presence alone physically distorted how opponents structured their entire defensive schemes. That gravitational pull is genuinely rare, historic, even. And the Indiana Fever's response to having that weapon on their roster has been nothing short of baffling.
Y'all need to listen to this real quick.
Let up at all. They're going to stay full. They're going to be disruptive. I think for us, I think we got to get the ball inside to our post players. I think that's one way, or one key to the game that will help us win is to get AB and Mo and really whoever our post players is.
Instead of building an offensive system around what she does better than almost anyone alive, the coaching staff under Stephanie White has done the opposite. They have forced her into a rigid traditional structure that asks her to operate within boundaries that completely neutralize what makes her special. Post-entry sets, conservative ball movement, a system designed for a completely different type of team with a completely different type of talent. The numbers back this up. When Clark is allowed to operate freely, running pick and roll, attacking from the perimeter, creating chaos off the dribble, the offense becomes virtually unstoppable. When she is asked to quietly exist within someone else's structure, that magic disappears entirely. And that is not a coincidence. Here is where the frustration really starts to build. 3 minutes. That is how long it sometimes takes before Clark is being pulled from the floor in a game she is supposed to be leading.
Stephanie White on Wailea Boston, Caitlin Clark subbed out at the 6:30-minute mark, after which Portland went on a 13-2 run. Well, AB is still on a minutes restriction, so that's why she's coming out, and that's typically around the same time that we've taken Clark out before. None of that is good at all. None of that is good at all. But again, wait, why are you specifying AB's on a minute restriction, but you're not specifying Caitlin Clark's on a minute restriction? Explain, please. We did it in Golden State because, quite honestly, we didn't want Raven in that environment without another ball handler on the floor, but that's been our typical substitution pattern.
3 minutes into a professional basketball game, your franchise cornerstone, the player your entire broadcast deal is built around, is sitting on the bench watching someone else run the offense. The specific pattern keeps repeating itself. Clark gets the team moving, momentum starts building, and then she comes out right at the 6.5-minute mark alongside Aaliyah Boston. And every single time it happens, the opponent goes on a run. Portland ripped off a 13-2 run the moment that substitution happened. That is not a coincidence. That is a direct consequence of dismantling your offensive engine at exactly the wrong moment.
Terrible analogy, but I'm gonna use it anyway. Folks, you mow your lawn. What do you do before you mow your lawn? You start your engine. And what do? You let that engine warm up, because it needs to warm up. Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, they're your engines. Gotta start that engine, let them warm up. 3.5 minutes isn't enough to let them warm up. They finally get into a rhythm, you get an 8-4 lead, 8-2 lead, and you take them out. Well, now they gotta start their engine again. But now we're not starting our engine to begin the game. Now we're starting our engine in the rhythm of a game of momentum we've already lost. This is coaching malpractice.
Coach White's public explanation made things worse, not better. Boston is on a minute's restriction, she said. Fine. But why is Clark being pulled at the exact same time with zero stated justification? You do not get to selectively explain one substitution while leaving the more important one completely unaddressed. That is not a coaching philosophy. That is a deflection, and the league is absolutely noticing. This is bigger than one coach making questionable rotations. The decisions happening on the sideline are a direct reflection of the organizational philosophy operating above it. Head coach Stephanie White, general manager Kelly Crosskopf, and President Amber Cox have collectively built a structure that operates on an outdated set of beliefs about how generational talent should be handled. The philosophy seems to be this: rookies pay dues. Veterans get respect regardless of talent disparity, and offensive systems get mastered before any player earns true creative freedom. It sounds reasonable in theory. In practice, applied to a player like Clark, it is organizational malpractice. History is extremely clear on this. When a player possesses the ability to fundamentally alter the geometry of a basketball game, you do not ask them to fit neatly into your existing playbook. You throw that playbook away entirely and rebuild the architecture around their specific gifts. That is what the greatest franchises in sports history have always done when something truly rare landed in their lap. The Indiana Fever are not doing that. They are attempting to pour one of the most dynamic offensive forces in the sport's history through a system built for an entirely different kind of player. And that disconnect starts at the very top. What is happening to Clark right now is not just a basketball problem. It is a psychological one, and it might be the most damaging part of this entire situation. Think about what the constant, unpredictable substitutions actually communicate to a competitor. You are not trusted. Your instincts are not valued. The system matters more than your talent. Now layer on top of that the public statements suggesting the team plays better or faster with someone else controlling the ball. These are not minor strategic comments buried in a post-game press conference. These are public votes of no confidence delivered on a national stage. Reports suggest, and this part is particularly alarming, that a team sports psychologist has been involved in conversations aimed at helping Clark accept her diminished role within the system. If accurate, that framing is everything. The focus is not on empowering her to demand what she needs to succeed. The focus is on making her comfortable with less than what she should be demanding. That is how you extinguish a competitive fire from the inside out. Not through one dramatic confrontation, but through a slow, methodical erosion of the instinctive aggression that made her great in the first place. And once that fire dims, getting it back is never guaranteed. Here is the part that extends far beyond the Indiana Fever's locker room. The WNBA is in the middle of the most financially significant period in its entire history. Television rights negotiations, expansion drafts, a collective bargaining agreement opt-out that could reshape the league's economic structure for the next decade. Every single one of these conversations carries a number attached to it, and that number is directly tied to viewership. And viewership right now is directly tied to one specific style of play: high-octane, perimeter-oriented, visually spectacular, the kind of basketball that casual fans will tune in to watch even if they have never followed the league before. CBS, NBC, and USA Network did not pay premium broadcast rights fees to watch conservative post-entry sets and rotation management. They paid for Clark operating at full capacity. By deliberately suppressing that style, the Indiana coaching staff is not just failing their star player. They are actively undermining the financial arguments the entire league is trying to make to the next wave of broadcast partners and corporate sponsors. Every muted, restricted performance is a data point working against the WNBA's own growth narrative. The league's business office absolutely understands this. Whether the coaching staff does remains a serious question. Here is something that has not gotten nearly enough attention. Through all of this, the questionable rotations, the public votes of no confidence, the organizational mismanagement playing out on national television, there has been near complete silence from the people who are supposed to be protecting her interests. Her current representation under Aaron Kane has not mounted any visible coordinated response to what is happening. No media pushback, no public leverage plays, no apparent pressure being applied to the Indiana front office to reconsider the approach. Just quiet acceptance. Compare that to how a genuinely powerful agency operates. Clutch Sports, Rich Paul's operation, has built an entire model around using media relationships, leverage, and strategic public pressure to shape the environments their clients play in. When a situation like this develops around a Clutch client, hit pieces get answered, organizational narratives get challenged, and front offices understand very quickly that mismanaging the talent comes with consequences. Right now, Clark has none of that protection, and the absence of it is directly emboldening the coaching staff to keep escalating these restrictive practices, because there is zero external pressure pushing back. Representation is not just about contract negotiations. It is about controlling the environment around a player, and that environment right now is completely uncontrolled. Everything that has been laid out here leads to one defining moment that is rapidly approaching. Clark is standing at a fork in the road, and the path she chooses next will determine not just her own career trajectory, but potentially the entire direction of women's basketball for the next decade. Path 1 is the easy one. Continue being a good soldier. Execute the system. Accept the rotations without public friction. Trust that patience and compliance will eventually be rewarded with more offensive freedom. It is the safe choice. It is also, based on everything we have seen so far, the choice that mathematically guarantees continued offensive inefficiency and continued erosion of the competitive instincts that set her apart. Path 2 is messier. It means demanding a different structure. It means finding representation that will fight for that demand loudly and publicly. It means embracing the organizational friction that has historically followed every athlete who refused to let an institution shrink them. The greatest players in sports history, the ones whose careers genuinely changed their sports forever, were almost never easy to manage in their early professional years. They were disruptive precisely because they understood that their vision for what was possible superseded the conservative instincts of the people around them. So here is where this all lands. The Indiana Fever have something genuinely historic on their hands, and the decision they are making right now, consciously or not, is whether to build around it or contain it. History is not kind to organizations that chose containment when greatness was available. And right now, every rotation decision, every public statement, and every silent acceptance from her representation is pushing this situation further toward a breaking point that benefits nobody. The question is not whether Clark is good enough to thrive in this league. That was never the debate. The real question is whether the people around her are good enough to deserve what they have. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started.
Stay locked with my channel, Simply Explained, for further WNBA updates.